Thelma Jean Cobb's case is considered involuntary missing and was last seen January 1st, 1946, in Fort Branch, Knox County, Indiana. Her date of birth is considered to be somewhere around 1916 and was 30 years old at the time of her disappearance. She was a white female somewhere between 5'2" and 5'5", and weighed somewhere between 115 to 130 pounds. She had brown hair, brown eyes, and sometimes went by the nickname Thel. It is unknown if she had any distinguishing marks or features. It is unknown whether there were any dental or fingerprint records available for the case. However, there were DNA records available. It is also unknown as to what she was wearing, if she had any jewelry, or if she had any personal belongings on her at the time of her disappearance. There is little to know about her disappearance, but her family fears foul play. If you have any information about this case, you are asked to contact the Indiana State Police District Investigator Greg Weckler at 812-867-2079. That is 812-867-2079. You may also contact the Vincennes, Indiana Police Department District Stephen Chesser at 812-882-1630. That's 812-882-1630. Lola Celli has been missing since February 23, 1946, and was last seen in Grandview Heights, Franklin County, Ohio. Her birth date is said to be around somewhere in 1922, which in that case, if she is still alive today, it would make her 95 years old. At the time of her disappearance, she was 24. She was a white female, believed to be 5'4", 115 pounds, black hair, brown eyes, and it was unknown if she had any distinguishing marks or features. It is also unknown if there are any dental, fingerprint, or DNA records available for the case. At the time of her disappearance, she was known to have been wearing a gray fur coat, a gray hat, an aqua dress trimmed in red, and a red suede Cuban heels. It is unknown as to whether or not she had any jewelry on, or if she had any additional personal items with her at the time of her disappearance. Lola was last seen leaving the home of her parents in Grandview Heights, Ohio, in February 1946 to go shopping. A motorist claimed to have seen Lola arguing with a man in a car along Ogunterry River Road shortly after she disappeared from Grandview Heights. During the spat, a red shoe was tossed or fell out of the vehicle, the motorist said, but no shoe was ever found. Lola was a Logan County teacher and was able to speak 5 languages at the time of her disappearance. If you have any information regarding this case, you are asked to contact the Grandview Heights Police Department Detective Carol Harper at 614-488-7901. That's 614-488-7901. Paula Jean Welden is considered endangered missing and has been since December 1st, 1946. She was last seen in Bennington County, Vermont. Her date of birth is October 19th, 1928, and if she is still alive today, she would be 89 years old. At the time of her disappearance, she was 18. She was a white female, 5'5", 122 pounds, and had a blonde hair worn in a long bob. Her eye color was blue. She had fair complexion with much color, nose slightly turned up, cleft in chin, walks with a long, stringy step, has erect carriage, athletic type, grayish scar on left knee, vaccination mark on right thigh, small scar under left eyebrow. It is unknown as to whether or not there were any dental, fingerprint, or DNA records available for the case. She was last seen wearing a red parka jacket with fur-trimmed hood, blue jeans, and white sneakers with heavy-soled topsider size 6.5 or size 7. She was also wearing a small gold Elgin ladies wristwatch with a narrow black band. The watch has repairs marking 13050 HD scratched on the inside of the back case, and it is unknown if she had any other additional personal items with her. Paula was last seen at Bennington College while taking a walk on the long trail near Glattensbury Mountain during the afternoon. On the day she vanished, she worked 2 shifts at the school's dining hall, came back to her room, and conversed for a while with her roommate. Then she told the roommate that she was through with studies and was going to take a long walk. She headed out around 2:45 p.m. She was sighted several times as she was hitchhiking to the long trail close to Bickford Hollow. Vermont had no state police force at the time of her disappearance. The governor called in police from New York and Massachusetts to help with the search. Welden's disappearance persuaded local legislators to support the creation of the Vermont State Police. Between 1945 and 1950, 4 other disappearances have occurred in the area where Welden disappeared, earning the wilderness area the nickname the Bennington Triangle. At the time of her disappearance, Welden was an art student interested in watercolors, oils, pencil, and charcoal sketching. She had assisted a mural painter and had also done black and white illustrations. She had also worked as a waitress. She liked skating, bicycling, hiking, camping, swimming, square dancing, and playing the guitar. If you have any information about this case, you are asked to contact the Vermont State Police, Lieutenant Reg Tyra, or Police Chief Richard Gother at 802-241-5355. That's 802-241-5355. Joan Gay Croft has been missing since April 9, 1947, and was last seen in Woodward, Oklahoma, and is classified as endangered missing. Her date of birth is October 28, 1942, which, if she is still alive today, would make her 75 years old. Her age at the time of her disappearance, however, was only 4. She is a white female with blonde hair and blue eyes. On April 9, 1947, a giant tornado ripped through the town of Woodward. It traveled on the ground for 221 miles at the speed of 46 miles per hour, smashing everything in its path. It has been described as one of the 10 most destructive tornadoes of all time, killing 185 people and injuring 720. Joan's mother was killed by the giant storm, and her father, H.O. Croft, was critically injured. He was transferred to an Oklahoma City hospital. Joan, with a splinter through her leg, and her sister were found to have less life-threatening injuries than others seeking care, and were ushered to the hospital basement to wait as more critical injuries were treated. Her sister, 4 years older, reported that 2 men dressed in khaki work clothes came into the basement and carried Joan away. Apparently, due to the turmoil of the night, no one paid any attention to the little girl's protests. For a time, it was thought perhaps the child was taken elsewhere for medical treatment, but as days passed following the disaster and damage was assessed and residents accounted for, Joan did not surface on hospital lists or with any family members. The incident received nationwide attention, but Joan never was found. Georgia Jean Weckler has been missing since May 1, 1947, and was last seen in Fort Atkinson, Jefferson County, Wisconsin, and her case is classified as a non-family abduction. Her date of birth is January 28, 1939, which, if she was still alive today, would make her 78 years old, though at the time of her disappearance, she was only 8. She is believed to be 5'4", 70 pounds, a white female, blonde shoulder-length straight hair, brown eyes, and was believed at the time to have been wearing a pink button sweater over a blue t-shirt, blue jeans, blue flowered skirt, rubbers, and a brown flowered headscarf, and there are dental records available. She was last seen at approximately 15:30 near her farm home in rural Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin on May 1, 1947. A neighbor gave her a ride part of the way home from school, dropping her off at the entrance to the half-mile-long driveway leading up to her home. Weckler told the neighbor that she would go into the woods and pick some flowers for a May Day basket before going home. Georgia, a first-year 4-H club member, reportedly knew the wood area, and the possibility of her getting lost is believed to be slim. The neighbor saw Weckler collect some letters from her family's mailbox and start walking up the driveway, but she never arrived at her house. She has never been heard from again, and the mail she was carrying at the time of her disappearance has never been found. Witnesses reported seeing a dark-colored 1936 Ford sedan in the vicinity that afternoon. The car vanished at the same time Weckler did, and tire tracks were found on the road. It was being driven by a blonde man, 20 to 25 years old. This man is the prime suspect in Weckler's presumed abduction. He has never been identified, though many individuals were questioned over the years. At first, investigators believed Weckler had been kidnapped for ransom, as her father was a man of means. Days passed and no ransom demands were made. However, authorities now believe Weckler was taken by a sexual predator. Budford Sennett, a convicted murderer who had just started serving a life sentence in prison, confessed to Weckler's murder in the fall of 1947. He claimed that he had a companion he refused to name, had kidnapped her for ransom, and given her some sleeping pills, and she had accidentally overdosed and died. Sennett said he had tossed Weckler's remains into the Blue River near the town of Blue River, Wisconsin. A search of the river turned up no sign of Weckler. However, Sennett was never charged in connection with her case, and police are not certain whether he was involved. If you have any information about this case, please contact Jefferson County Sheriff's Department Detective Margarita Gray at 920-674-7343. That's 920-674-7343.